Good afternoon, everyone. It is July 31st, 2023. What I mentioned before the market opened was that the move I wanted to see during the RTH happened during the overnight, and therefore I was looking for a pretty boring uh, RTH session. I was looking for just kind of a choppy session, and that's what we had. What I wanted to see during the RTH was us test last week's VWAP close at 95-ish, and then get a ramp back to the highs. That happened. We tested it right there at 95 quarter, I believe, and then ramp back to the highs. The RTH just barely broke that overnight high, right where we had the liquidation happen from Thursday. So I've sold there once, twice, three times, and then moved down to the lows and stayed bid pretty much all day. Pretty much all day, this thing stayed bid right around the IB low. We broke it finally at 1 p.m., but then bid, and then a nice squeeze into the close is what we had. Now, uh, to me, and I wrote this out here, if we hold this green box and get over 46.25, I was looking for 52 to 66. Let me just pull that up on another screen so I've got that. I can see that. Uh, yeah, 52 to 66. So I'm still looking for that. To me, we've just barely tapped the edge. The edge of this box is at 95. We hit 95 quarter. To me, I don't like that we did it during Globex. I don't like that it was just a tick. It was a tick off of even entering this zone. I'm not perfect, so maybe that was the right spot. With having already sold off here, off this liquidation, we've sold there once, twice, three times. We're now here for the fourth time. I'm doubtful sellers will still be there. I think they've had their chance. They should have dropped this thing down hard today, and they missed. Tomorrow, news-wise, ISM PMI, I believe that's manufacturing, and then JOLTS, both at 10 a.m. Notable that as we enter August, volatility probably will remain pretty mediocre. Uh, I know seasonally, usually you get a bit of a move up in volatility around now. I'm just trying to find the chart a friend of mine posted here. There we go. There you guys go. So you can see in the red here, that's our current year, and here's the historic volatility. This dark gray line is what I'm looking at. So kind of around the start of August, you start to get a pickup in that volatility. Then the mid to end of August, that dies down a lot. That's usually think of it as holidays. So that's what I'm kind of looking at now is will we get that little bit of pickup in volatility, but overall I'm still expecting us to be pretty quiet coming into this month. Now the Nasdaq not too dissimilar. Uh, we were unable to get down to this major zone I had, this kind of major balance, and to me, the move just to me I just don't see that as enough selling to be bullish. I wanted to see us head lower. I wanted to see a tag of that 740 area. Instead, this thing, much like ES, stayed bid right about the IB low all day today. It tried to close that gap for the millionth time, going up to 15,911. This gap over here. Failed to close it another time. Failed here, failed here, failed here. It's been repeatedly failing. Failed it once again. Sold off and pretty much spent the day below the open. So the way I'm seeing this right now is that the Nasdaq to me remains looking weak. It remains being my short vehicle, and I think, in my opinion, that will break that kind of low 800 zone. This area, I think this will break, and we'll go ahead and come into this 740 area, the 680 to 740 area. So that's what I'm going to be aware of on the Nasdaq. I'm going to be hesitant on taking longs on this thing. ES, on the other hand, looks ready to break out. So going into tomorrow, how am I looking to trade this with the varying outlooks between the two tickers? There we go. Well, 16 halves. That's our settlement highs, T plus 2 highs. I will be taking that long in some sort of manner if the overnight high breaks, short if the overnight low breaks. Above there, I'm interested in getting short 22 to 25, that zone. That is if the overnight low is broken. I'll be looking to trade against the overnight high, if not the just flat out high of the year, and get short for a move down into kind of that 46.10-ish area. Speaking of that, I'd be looking to get long tomorrow at 46.09s. It is an aggressive long. It's roughly around the VWAP close from today, the weekly close, blah, 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 blah. Pretty much was one of the main levels I was interested in intraday here, as you can see. Below there, 4,600 and 3/4 if we get a run of today's low of the day. Below, nothing really changing. This may be a fantastic long here at 4,600s after a run and move into this kind of 90 to 95 area. That's also what I'm going to be watching. Below there, nothing changing. Above, and if we don't break that overnight low and instead we just move up, I'm not going to really be looking to get short on this thing. I think you end up moving up. You get that scenario I talked about on the higher time frames where you're targeting that 50 plus sort of area. Nasdaq. What am I looking for? Well, nothing really much changing here either. Go to a 2-hour chart. There we go. I still want to be short in this general area from about the 95% weekly value area high from last week up to the gap close sort of area at 917. Roughly the roughly around the monthly value area high, sitting at 909s, the prior week's high at 905, today's high, last week's high 904, today's high 905, settlement high is 896. So all this sort of crap around here, to me, looks like your short zone. Once you get above there, you got to start being a little bit more hesitant. Wait until we get to essentially where we sold off of. Over here where we had some nice bids on that Wednesday morning, and then where we sold off of, so around that 977 number. I think that'll be the spot to watch. Below there, I have one move I'd be willing to trade in this entire zone, and that is to be long 860. That being sort of the VWAP close, the open, the point of control, the weekly close, blah, 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 the monthly close, everything sort of around that 860 number. That is only if we break the high of the IB and the overnight high is broken. So if the IB trades something like, I don't know, something like this, get my ruler tool. If the IB trades something like this and we break the overnight high and the IB high, I'd be looking to get long somewhere around this 860 area against the IB low for a move continued upwards. That's all I'm really looking for tomorrow. Still not really too interested in getting long above that 785. Perhaps something like this. Give me 1 second. Perhaps something like this, a long at 806s after a tag of 787. So just a move to, what is that, 787. The weekly value area high from last week. There's a nice auction there from whatever time that was, Friday at 1:45. We had a nice auction there. So maybe if that stays bid, getting long here for a move back into this balance here. But overall, not too aggressive on the long side on the Nasdaq. Anyway, this video is getting long at, good God, 8.5 minutes. That's all I have for you guys. We'll see what this thing looks like in the morning. Have a great night. Trade safe.